Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack Grand Prix Hearthstone, and I'm afraid the tradition of biased hosts is going to continue because now we have my complexity teammate Loyan coming up as against A numbers is just all I'm going to call it.
A8.
Yeah, A8, that'll do. And this is, as you mentioned, Lothar, is going to be a Polish derby, as you put it, and interestingly, these two players are warring to overtake a certain someone as the highest placing Polish finisher at a DreamHack.
Well,
Who could that be?
if they will get to a semi-final, I mean, that will be the same result. Huh. So they need to get to the final.
Any excuse.
Anyway, this is the first time also we'll see a Polish derby in a international event, so I'm pretty hyped. Loyan is known for making the top finish at ACT, right? So that's one of his main achievements, while Kacper, because that's his name, and I'm kind of reluctant to say his nickname.
I was just going to go A8 all the time. A8.
Okay. Is not yet known in the international scene, but he's currently teamless. He was in the Illuminar Gaming before. But he is a strong player, that's for sure. He's one of the top players in Poland, alongside Loyan, alongside I Kill You, an example. So they're actually practice partners, if I remember correctly. So I think it will be a very interesting match.
And I think as well, if you've ever played an online cup of Hearthstone, you'll have seen A8 in there.
And he probably would have remembered it.
Yeah, and he probably won that cup you played in. You know, like that's the extent he's played so many. I believe, I'm not sure up to date, of course. Believe at one point on Strivewire he was like ranked 1 or 2.
Right. Yeah,
it was like, you know, and Strivewire holds ELO accounts for every single tournament they host, and that all goes into one ranking. And he is like, last time I looked, like I said, it was a little bit while ago now, but he was like ranked 1 or 2 after all of the hundreds of Strivewire cups, which is kind of ridiculous.
Right, I remember playing against him like way back in the day in an online tournament, and I was like, oh, I've just got a free win this round. This is just some casual that couldn't even be bothered to type a proper name in. Like, he's just mashed the keyboard and gone, yeah, that'll do. But now this guy is very, very serious, knows what he's doing. And I was actually talking to Loyan beforehand. Obviously, he was still hanging around with A8 at the time. They know each other from the Polish scene. And the consensus between the two of them is that Kacper's A8's lineup is just a little bit favored overall. He thinks it's significantly favored. Loyan thinks there's maybe a slight edge there, but what they do agree on is that it maybe has a slight edge. And Loyan, of course, famously a huge shaman specialist, and right now, right now being a shaman specialist is almost like being the best tavern brawl player in the world. Like, how much does it mean? Because you don't get to play shaman that often.
Great on ladder.
That's true.
Not so much
Very
in
true.
tournaments with a ban at the moment. So yeah, you can see Loyan's shaman banned out, but this is, you know, pretty good nod to him. Actually, he is known a lot for that shaman play. Yeah. He's top 16, and he's probably played it maybe once all tournament, so, you know, it's a good nod. And A8 there with the rogue.
Yeah, and that was the big talking point in terms as to how much exactly he's favored in terms of this matchup, because Loyan thinks the rogue can potentially do some serious work against his lineup, and that's something that's been a little bit of a theme developing recently. Is maybe there's a feeling, I know amongst the complexity players that I share myself, that rogue is just worming its way back in as a potential powerhouse class in the format, something that I expected to see a little bit more of in this tournament, to be honest.
Got an insane card from the new expansion.
Oh yes, counterfeit coin, baby, let's go.
Well, it was interesting. It was what Firebat was mentioning in his interview yesterday, that he loves Rogue, he plays a lot of it, but he couldn't see himself playing it well for this many hours through a Swiss bracket. So when, you know, ex-world champ says that, and then A8 gets top 16 with Rogue, he's got to be pretty good at this.
Well,
class.
maybe they got banned all the time, right?
Yeah, those big rogue bans we've been seeing.
He queued into 9 clinically insane people who all banned his rogue. It's possible. It could happen. But either way, we're going to see what's going to happen in this series. Complexity's own Loyan going up against A83650 to come out with his name at least once in full. Raven, Lothar, take it away, guys.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Maybe people think that it's actually, like, you know, like an error.
Yeah, it's just like they've not filled in the name.
Oh man, production. Horrible, horrible here.
This is actually his battle tag and not the hashtag number. It's just his name on there. But yeah, I was just going to shorten it down to A8. So I don't know if we start saying, his name's Kacper, right?
Yes.
If we start saying Kacper, then people are going to be like,
Who's Kacper, right?
Yeah, so A8 is what at least I'm going to follow, and we are going to go for the Druid Mirror.
Druid Mirror, but both players have the wild growth, so that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I was saying this to Live Coach earlier. If I'm casting Druid Mirrors, I really like it if they both have wild growth.
Oh, both
but
don't.
they both don't. Yeah, exactly. So at least there's, at least the first few turns are straightforward, but straightforward for both players more than likely. But the Living Roots coming out for A8, they're just going to start chipping away and causing issues because your opponent does not want to hero power in the first few
That's
turns.
for sure. I actually shared the sentiment, what you said about the mana ramp in this situation when the mirror match is happening. But also the turn 1 roots is not that important as it would have been in the past, where we had still the access to the power of the wild Savage Draw combo, right? Because then a turn 1 1/1 minion, double even the 1/1 minion would have mean that you are getting into the range of the combo really fast.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue, it's a nuisance and something that makes you uncomfortable on the board, but it's still fine to kind of like rely on a swipe later in the game.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen on turn 5, something like that.
And yeah, it's just going to get another Living Roots to replace the one he used. But also as well, it opens up. Loyan just throws his pen.
Oh man!
Oh, don't try and show off on stream flicking a pen round if you're going to drop it.
And where you will put your grocery list now.
But with the Living Roots as well, if they're not dealt with for this long, well, suddenly an Azure Drake play can be cleaned up by Wrath Trade One. And everything just gets a little bit cleaner, and we're going to see now. There's even just Living Roots trade the 2 1/1s in if he really wants to. Oh, he has now the Azure Drake Moonfire and the 2 1/1s to go in to then put his own Azure Drake, which is nice. And, Living Roots, well, Loyan's on 25, so there's just 5 damage.
For 1 mana.
Yeah, and now it's also traded or helped trade with the Azure Drake, and so that turn 1 Living Roots getting maybe flying under the radar a little bit, but quite a lot of work done.
You can think about it as a double spell power in this case.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So, well, actually triple because there's an Azure Drake as well.
Yeah.
So that Moonfire was quite powerful. Let's see the turn 5 from Loyan. He has few options. There's the Nourish that he actually did draw this turn. So you can go for the Nourish ramp and then still have access to 2 mana, which is an Raven Idol or just hero power. And then in the upcoming turn, he can just smash the Rag on board, which is always great in this matchup because it's a hard minion to deal with. And it gets you ahead of board if it gets to be on the board more than 1 turn.
He could have even Nourish ramped into Innovate Swipe to kill the Drake, then gone into Rag to put even less pressure on himself. But it looks like he's gone with the Raven Idol. Nothing really screams at me here. I think it's maybe not the best position when Wisp is the best card to pick. Loyan's going to go for it. But, it's nice for a refill and just say, well, have you got Swipe? No? Great. It's going to be a huge problem. You played Living Roots turn 1. I'm going to play 7 of them on turn 7.
True. But now it's turn 6. Well, actually, it's not turn 6. It's 6 mana for A8. And his options are not that wide, but he can still go for the Giant this turn. And that wouldn't be that bad. But he opts for the Nourish and with a draw. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think a lot of the time in the Druid Mirror, you do want to just get really ahead in cards because you can just deal with your opponent's plays very easily. There was even a chance to Nourish into Ramp, into Innovate, into Giant to get one out, even though that would have been a quite a heavy use of resources. But at least now, look at all the options AA has got. He can clear this Emperor very easily and still be ahead on cards.
The one thing that I was thinking about during that turn when he opted for the Nourish is the fact that if you put a huge minion on board, you basically have a removal, which you didn't have in hand. So your hand was lacking the removal that you need for impactful minions that your opponent will play. It will change the dynamic of the entire matchup as well. So maybe it was worth it to just go for the Archon Giant, but at the same, because now this turn he actually needs to deal with the Emperor. Yeah. Which he would have been dealt with because the Archon Giant would have been on board.
Yeah.
Maybe he wouldn't even be played on board.
In the mirror, I always enjoy being the person who's putting the minion down and asking the questions to my opponent as to whether they can answer it. Because they normally have to do quite a lot to answer it and get the initiative for themselves.
Yeah, imagine now, next turn, that would be a Fandral. What do you do with the Fandral then? Right? You're always behind.
They're just going to be able to get a Giant out now, though, so he can clear the Emperor off, play the Giant in. Similar turn, ends up with a Giant on an empty board, which is nice. A little bit later, but also got more reductions on the Giants, and now can build on it. Ragnaros into Malygos, You know, it's going to be really good. And when you counter Rag with Rag, going the second Rag is always the best.
Yes, that's
Because
true.
if you kill their Rag, then they have to do something very impressive to kill yours, as well as you having the Arcane Giant on the board.
Now, that would be actually insane if you would go for a Innervate Living Groups for double 1/1s to play around an opponent's Rag.
But that's like the counter Rag. Okay, and in all honesty, this can be a huge impact on the game where this Rag hits, and A8 hits face. So Loyan is down to 17, but most importantly, he has another shot at killing Rag. He's got Wisps. Go wide.
I guess that's the correct play. You can wait.
I think you like Nourish here, right? In all seriousness, you just want to cycle more, and none of your cards do anything crazy. And if you play Wisps and there's a swipe, you'll cry.
Well, having Fandral with a discounted Wisps is actually insane.
Yeah, and the even the Innovate, so he can just do it next turn if he wants. It's kind of nuts, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's actually don't know what's gonna happen here. If Loyan snipes this Rag, he can almost do what he wants next turn.
Yeah, but even if he doesn't snipe it, it's still okay. Ooh.
And now as well, so
It's high noon.
if there's the Azure Drake swipe to clear most of this board, great. There goes Azure Drake snipe. Fandral, Innovate, Wisps.
Well, you
go.
can play around something like that. That's
I
usually happen,
mean,
right?
it's good for Loyan in the fact that he set up a board that if there's a big AoE clear, he's going to do it
Yeah, of
now,
course.
right? And then Loyan can follow up with this Wisp of the Old Gods that he got from the Raven Idol. So Loyan's setting up, or at least putting himself in a very, very strong position in this matchup here.
But 8-8 actually A8 didn't go for it. Actually went for Raven Idol. Interesting.
He has got the health advantage, but
So
it's
why
a lot
not
of
go for the
minions.
Mauls, right?
Yeah, is that just as reliable? I suppose the problem is if Rag then just has 50-50 on the Azure Drake. But scary. Just going to clear off what he can and try and build into the Malygos Moonfire, maybe?
Still, the swipe wouldn't have been that big of a difference because you still can hear with the hero power, but an 8-8 in a 4-4 is actually no big difference because the Rag can still kill it in one big fireball.
And now double Wrath with the Fandral. The plan changing slightly. This is just a clean kill, and hey, Rag's just hitting face again. And in all seriousness, you know, you ask A8, hey, can you deal with this Rag even on 7 health? Probably just no.
And there's another threat. An additional 8-8 for 3 mana. Shaman fans are going wild. It's better than a 4-7-7.
Yeah, just a little bit. No overload either.
Yeah. And it doesn't look good.
I think there just had to be an Innovate there for Malygos Moonfire Innovate Wrath to try and get something done. There's double Wrath now, so along with the spell damage, Rag can be cleared up, but there's just 11 damage already on board. Never mind all of the cards Loyan's got in hand.
11 damage, and then we know that it's actually lethal because there's not only swipe, but also the Wisps and Feral Rage. That's more than enough to just kill almost anyone.
Yep. There we go, and that is going to be the concede. And, you know, I feel got off to a good start then, but really just the Rag snipe being huge there for Loyan. The A8's Rag missing Loyan's, and then Loyan being able to take down A8's just really was a huge problem. And this is what happens when Druids just stop playing Mulch. Basically, like, you do not have an easy removal for a big target.
Yeah, I agree. So last year, we were playing last year's standing, so the Druid will be still there.
I'm going to take a wild stab at A8 playing Zoo.
Yeah, might be the case.
I'm going to go wild here. Oh, hang on.
Wait,
He has Warlock,
Rogue.
right? It's Rogue Warlock, isn't it?
Wait, he's picking on Rogue. Is he? Nope.
Yes. No. Let's like Warlock. I was
Never
like,
mind.
he is playing Warlock, correct? And it's like, yeah, he must be because it's Shaman's band. Yeah,
Here we go. We'll be starting right away with the Warlock. No surprise here. Probably the best matchup, although Loyan is not playing the Isha version.
No. He's playing the much more standard version. This is one of the tipping point I feel in the series, in that if Loyan gets a win here, he is looking very, very, very good, because Zoo has been one of the dominant decks at the moment in this tournament. But if you knock that deck out, you've feeling pretty great.
Yep, I like the keep of the Raven Idol, even if when he goes first, because the Raven Idol is an additional chance to get a Wild Growth or an Innovate.
Yep.
And you would play that as a
and
copy. Basically.
Also, a lot of the removal cards are just good versus Zoo. You know, like if Wrath pops up, then you know what, getting a Wrath, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna get some work
Third
done.
copy of a Wrath, yeah.
Yeah,
probably
I'll
would
take
have played
it.
that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Voidwalker is the best answer to a Living Roots on turn 1, but still, Druid at least has an answer in form of the hero power, and it's a 1-for-1.
And innovate Nourish as well next turn is possible.
But you do it for the ramp, right?
You might do it for the cards this time.
Because
It all depends on what he draws next.
Play.
Yeah, it depends on what he draws next. Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's just
No
a hero power
attacks.
pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only way that you lose one of the 1/1s is a Knife Juggler and a 1-drop, but there's a 1-drop in 8/8's hand, so that's not a possibility. Although I think I would rather go for the trade immediately.
Yeah, I suppose this early, there's no Defender Argus coming out that makes it awkward or anything like that, so it's not too terrible, at least this turn.
I mean, a Dark Peddler into Mortal Coil, Elven Archer, a Boar would have been a problem,
True.
right?
Yeah, it would be.
Because you don't have a swipe. You basically kind of... Loyan might have been bluffing by not trading that... bluffing the fact that he might have an Innervate swipe, an example. Because there's a reason why he held off the attack, right? That might be one of the reasons, so his opponent can't go into a, let's say, Imp Gank Boss with coin on turn 2. Because that falls right into it.
Yeah. You just when that's cleared up effectively, you really feel a little bit afraid. There is the Councilman now, and there's the Voidwalker going to do the trade for Loyan.
And that's not a bad turn. Maya Keeper into ramp, and you can still Raven Idol, so you can start with the Raven Idol.
Yeah, I think that's okay actually. The thing with Nourish is you just weigh up. I like Nourish for cards to a certain extent because of what his hand looks like. But it looks like he is going to go for mana. Will allow him to do the Raven Idol or clear up this Voidwalker. Going to clear up the Voidwalker. And yeah, this builds into the Emperor turn, I guess. So he will discount 3 cards next turn if he chooses to go for the Emperor. And I guess this just makes all his draws better, right? Because his curve is naturally higher than the Zoo player, so he can actually just try and keep up there. Not sure exactly what Loyan's playing.
I think
Druid, sorry.
The dynamic of this matchup also kind of changed because of the fact that people are cutting POs. So you can risk playing the Emperor right now, or minions that are just, mid-range minions, and not be really afraid of a 1-1 trading with a PO.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a combination of Direwolf Alpha, an Abusive Sergeant, or something similar to present the same amount of damage on your opponent's side. So, yeah. So it's fine. I mean, I liked both Maya Keeper and the Raven Idol this turn, because you probably won't be greedy to wait for the Fandral with this Raven Idol, and at the same time, if you Raven Idol this turn, you know what's happening. You can change your decision.
Yeah,
right?
I guess. Oh, the Doomguard getting thrown does not feel great. I guess one thing to note is that the Nourish with only just a Councilman on its own on the board was as safe as a Nourish is ever going to get versus Zoo, right?
Yeah, most likely.
So if you delayed it 1 turn, maybe the Zoo's played 3 more minions, and then you're using your whole turn to do nothing, which is kind of rough. But as you said, getting Emperor down now is looking pretty good. There are Soulfires abound, but there's 2 in hand. One could discard the other, and even with Soulfires, there's no nice trade.
I think what you do is play the Knife Juggler and then the Direwolf Alpha, trade with the Librarian into the Emperor. You have a chance that the Emperor actually will be at 4 HP after the Direwolf Alpha, yes, and the Juggle. So you might just instantly kill it. If not, you will draw a card and, well,
you don't have any mana.
So many
I don't think that the risk of Emperor being second turn on the board is actually that high, because your opponent's only on 3 cards. So.
Yeah. Nourish has just gone down, so you're not afraid of a reduced Nourish. The double reduction is scary, though. I mean, worst case, you can just run the Councilman in, right?
He got the Juggle.
Oh, he hits it.
That was the nod. But the small misplay in placement.
I guess he just wants the Juggler on the board longer, right?
What do you mean? The juggler could have been on the right side and have the additional attack.
Yeah, but based on the following turns, if he wants more minions to chain into it, he wants to use the right side, right?
Doesn't really matter that he will. It will have to be.
I guess he can just put them between, right? Yeah. That's true, actually. Yeah, the juggler could have gone on the right there with the direwolf. I suppose it's a tough call because if the juggler missed, then he trades the counterman. So then it's
Well,
you just roll the dice at that point. So not going to be, I don't think, majorly impactful, but definitely something to consider. Power of the Wild coming out now to help make Loyan make a bigger board to try and beat down this zoo. Soulfire used to be like a burst card. I've seen it more and more often used to actually just beat down the board. Because it's just what Zoo wants to do. Hold on to their board, and then I see a lot of Soulfires just go into minions to clear them off. You discard a card, but you keep your board, which is what's important here for Zoo.
The reason why is that something that I actually mentioned before. People are not playing PO anymore.
Yeah.
So it shares a similar function. It's both are 4 damage. Soulfire doesn't require a mount for it because you just straight out play it from your hand, and you don't need a creature.
Imagine if Soulfire had to discard a card to be played. A card would be very difficult.
Yeah, like an additional cost.
Yeah,
right?
like instead of discard a card if you've got no cards, fine. It's no. You need to discard a card to be able to play it. That would be very rough. But what isn't rough
is that
the
draw.
Silverware Golem. That is a pretty decent draw for AA here. He has a
50-50 to get it right. But there's also what you can do is go for the Soulfire first, and then you have basically 3 outcomes. Discarding under Soulfire is bad. Discarding the Golem is okay, of course. Discarding the Direwolf Alpha is semi-fine because then you have guaranteed Soulfire that will discard the Golem.
Yeah, I actually think if he Soulfires and doesn't discard the Soulfire, which he's not, this is actually looking fantastic because the Soulfires, not only, we talk a lot about what they discard and the impact on that, but they're killing the minions. This is what I just talked about, like Soulfire being used to clear a board. And now look, Loyan's only got a 2-2 on the board versus this huge, scary Zoo side.
And he needs to use his Pharaoh Rage to kill the Councilman.
Yep.
That is kind of a disaster because then he's dead.
Yeah, he actually just dies, right?
So
wait, he even survives?
Well, there's no chance, right? Because he can't.
Well, he gains armor.
So he can't kill it.
Moonfire trades into the wolf. Oh, he can't. He can't.
There's not a mana.
He was 1 mana short actually for the hero power. Yeah, you're completely right. Oof.
So it's 7, 9, 13 damage right now. 14. And what was the last card? The Possessed Villager. That's a huge console, man. It even trades with the Archon Giant.
Oh, Nourish might be the saving grace. And we need something big here, and that Malygos is big,
yeah,
but not the right kind of big. Double Moonfire, not enough mana for Malygos, and this is just going to be game here. Loyan cannot really defend against this.
Too much damage on board. Basically, there's still 5 left.
I mean,
he will be technically on 1.
He's alive on 1 this turn, but Zoo has a habit of drawing damage every single turn.
Habit.
Yeah, now and again it draws damage.
He played 2 Soulfires, he played 2 Direwolf Alpha, but we didn't see a single Abusive Sergeant yet, and we didn't see a single Doom Guards, and what else? There's still 1 Knife Juggler. Argus, there's a Doom Guard. It will finish up the second game in the Polish Derby. Still draw a card, by the way, before killing his opponent. A slight BM.
BM he had no control over.
Yep.
Marcus's impact is actually insane.
Yeah,
but now A8 has won with the Zoo. It looks like Loyan is going straight for that Warrior counter pick. And this is the biggie. If Loyan can take the Zoo down, this has been the terror deck of the whole tournament. And if A8 wins with this Zoo, he's on run to actually just overrun Loyan here.
But Loyan is playing with an Zoth Warrior, who is in theory favored against Zoo. We have seen this matchup already in the previous game, but Loyan seems like he has a better hand than Nixley.
Oh, definitely. The War Axe alone is a great start. But then you look at Slam, which, to be honest, a lot of the time isn't even used to cycle. It's used to just remove a minion. Blood for Ica actually does this. Good job, Loyan, before I even have to explain. Doing the damage and more importantly, just creating the token. Loyan holds onto the coin, then he has Barnes, which more than likely, we were talking about this not too long ago, the odds on Barnes hitting a death rattle is ridiculously high, as that's how you build the N'Zoth deck to give it as high odds as possible.
The options are as follows. Basically, there's a N'Zoth, there's a Justicar, and 2 Acolytes of Pain.
Yeah, and even the Acolytes.
And an Emperor.
Yeah, and even the Acolytes and the Emperor aren't horrendous draws, right? But look at this. It's like Loyan's just asked his warrior deck, can I have the anti-zoo cards, please?
Yeah,
these draws get progressively bad.
It is nuts. It's really, he has a great opening hand.
It's a good snipe though there for A8.
Another Slam. Crazy. Now you can just play Barnes, see what you get, and maybe it slightly will change what you will do with the weapon. Because let's say you will get a Sylvanas in this case. So will you actually kill the Knife Juggler or will you just kill the Flame Imp? And I would say I will just kill the Flame Imp because then the Sylvanas can take something from just the juggle.
Here we go. It's a legendary. Oh, it's the This is what happened to Reyna yesterday. That's rough. We were saying the odds, and the odds are very high. It's a death rattle, but not going to happen for Loyan this time. But he is in, by no means, huge amounts of trouble at the moment.
I mean, he's sitting at 26 HP.
He has double Slam, Revenge, and Brawl. And plenty of power on the board himself to contest. Tap meaning A8 was just off being able to get that Imp Gang Boss down. The Juggle coming down actually killing off the N'Zoth.
But he's in a position when he actually can't just trade. I don't see a point.
Yeah.
You just need to go face, have the damage. He's trading. Interesting.
I think because the Juggle was on the board, like that is a lot of extra damage actually over a lot of time. So the value of the Juggler there is just going to eat a Slam, no surprises at all. And now Loyan, Brawl, Revenge, Slam. Got to be feeling good about his hand so far.
Did A8 played already 2 Imps? I think so, right?
2 Flame Imps?
No. Jesus Christ, the Malakazar Imps.
No, he played 1.
I'm almost sure that he played the second one on 10-2 with the Voidwalker. He played one on 10-1 that got the Blood to Icar to the face. And
the second one got War Axe, did it?
Yes.
Ah, okay, I take it all back.
That kind of makes it all sad because the Malakazar Imp is the engine of the conversion of Zoo. It actually makes the potential reach of the deck is so much bigger.
We've actually seen games of Zoo hitting fatigue in this tournament because they can just get 2 Imps down. Me and Life Coach casting games yesterday where people getting the Malakazar's Imp off Peddler.
Wow.
RDU, I think, had 3 Imps on the board. Just drew his deck. Yeah, just drew his deck. It's crazy.
That's crazy, I see this.
Okay, so...
Wow, huge overextension from A8 and...
sorry, we were saying about this kind of play. You kind of just have to, right?
Yeah, I agree. You have to do it because the opponent might not have the Brawl, and how else would you want to win? You're tapping anyway, so you need to do something. But there's the Brawl.
This is so nice here for Loyan because he's brawled a huge board. His opponent's only on 1 card, and more importantly, the Imp Gang Boss dies, which is very nice. And he just has another Brawl.
And he actually didn't kill the 3-2.
Yeah.
Which is nice because the opponent didn't draw a card.
Oh, playing around the card draw, Lothar, with that Brawl, I like it. It's extra damage, but look at A8's health. He's gonna tap himself to death.
16 health. It's not looking good. Which turn is it? It's actually turn 7 for A8. And there's the Malakazar Imp. Here we go.
Malcolm the Imp. Gonna come down. No Psycho mechanics yet. But that is a fantastic card to just have on the board. It's a threat in itself. It's not a damage threat, but just an overall game plan threat.
But unfortunately for A8, there's a second Brawl waiting for him. But it seems like Loyan will get slightly greedy.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say, when the warrior can make a turn like this, is when you should be afraid as the Zoo.
Yeah.
Because they've removed nothing of a board that's what 5, 6, 9 power is that? So like that's a lot of power on the board, and Loyan's been happy to just play 2 minions paths. So yeah, it's fine. Because then there's Revenge, there's the Ironforge Portal, Slam, Brawl, everything he could want. And we've seen games actually lost because Zoo players have pushed them into Revenge without being able to guarantee a, seal the deal at the end. The Revenge clears the board and just closes out the game.
Let's see what will be the decision for 8-8 here.
Oh, okay.
See?
Yep, whoops. Chuckle's like, oh, hope nobody saw that. My bad.
He's always that mean guy that works for the other side.
No. Doomguard in hand is a hell of a lot of damage though to AA, but you've got to think if the Brawl comes down now, still Brawl, armor up, there's Brawl, Slam, still a lot of damage, and Loyan can stabilize if he clears this board one more time, I feel.
It doesn't look bad for Loyan, that's for sure.
Oh, the attack went in. Revenge is live. Revenge execute GG is what I want to say right now.
I'm kind of surprised that
he put him at 13.
No, I mean if he wants to put his opponent under that amount of health, then why don't you just attack with everything?
Yeah, just smoke life. Yeah. And the problem was like he had him to 13. It's perfect. So unless there's a weapon drawn, you're great. But now the whole board is gone, and A8 has to sort of scramble together extra damage. He played the Doom card, which is, I think, a conversation you and Sol were having in the previous series, where committing to the Doom guard, then how do you get over the finishing line? Is the problem if the board is cleared. And
and I didn't change my mind from that point, so I kind of disagree with that Doom guard play this turn. And even if you played, you just go all in to the face and just hope that...
I like all in, or leave him at 13. It's perfect. One or the other. The problem is going halfway and you open yourself up, because even if there was no execute, you wipe everything but the Doom guard, but then you have like 5 mana spare, which the Warrior's then gonna either armor up, play a minion. So there's still a problem even if there wasn't an execute for that Doom guard. So that was looking at that might have decided the game.
Might have. And also, by the way, look at this beautiful synergy between the Librarian and the oh my god, Defender of Argus.
Oh, and the Possessed Villager, nice sticky minion, but not really what you're looking to tap into. Oh, and Justicar coming down is pretty rough here. There's only, what, 6 power? 4 of that is negated every single turn, so you're taking 2 damage a turn. Loyan even just shield slamming the Librarian, saying, you know what, I'm going to out-health you now. The second Argus is going to be pretty nice. Silverware Golem, not too crazy without a discard mechanic, means you actually have to pay mana for it, but A8 is, mustering a bit more of some power onto the board, but there's still Portal, there's still Brawl, there's still Slamming Hand, plus the card draw next turn. It's going to look very difficult on top of Loyan gaining 4 armor at least a turn.
Yep, that's correct. And most likely there's also a second Revenge somewhere in the deck. So waiting, just waiting, because the Warrior is already at 10 HP. Doesn't matter how much armor he will get, he will still have the Revenge activated. So that's actually a big deal. Second Defender of Argus, not a bad card to have, which is actually Defender of Argus shines in those kind of matchups. But the problem is you had an awkward turn with the Librarian last turn, so it's really awkward to play a 2-3 minion for 4 mana with no real effect. Second Brawl is played, and that means we'll have a winner. And the winner is Justicar.
Welcome to the Grand Tournament.
That's just Salt the Wounds.
Final nail.
That's actually a skill from World of Warcraft for Warrior, Salt the Wounds.
Oh, is it? I've not played. I didn't really play Warrior World of Warcraft.
I might be actually lying, because it was a card for World of Warcraft TCG for the Warrior class. I'm hoping that it's an actual skill in World of Warcraft.
I've not played Warrior 2 recently. I don't remember it being one though. But yeah, doesn't matter about that. Loyan's gonna go 2-1 up, and the Zoo is gone, which I feel like for any player in this tournament must feel fantastic.
Yeah.
To knock your opponent's Zoo out of the game is like, okay, I got this now. Yeah,
we got it. I mean, everyone in the chat is just ecstatic.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it's gonna be A8's Rogue is the last deck, and wow.
Oh, look at that. An auctioneer with a prep, when you're going on the draw, is actually an insane keep.
Yeah, look at that. He just throws one because he's like, nah, I got one. I'm good.
Yeah. And then the questing adventurers. Now this looks really awesome. If only he will get a 1 conceal. There's a cold blood. Is that a conceal? Woo! 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 I mean, that's 7 damage to the face for 7 mana. It's
By the way, it's
great.
like, you can trade into face.
No, it's a great
7
face
done.
damage, man.
Yeah.
Great.
Excuse me.
He will get actually a second one, and that will be used as a clip in all those Chinese tournaments.
Yeah, that would be kind of great.
So what is your game plan here? Because you're playing an aggressive, let's say like that. It's a combo aggressive rogue against a typical control deck, which plays slowly and plays for sustain.
I'm going to go. You play Quest Adventurer, conceal, then kill them, and
Okay.
hope for no brawl.
Yeah.
And however like jokey that sounds, I'm actually not joking that much. I think getting the questing down is important. Unless you can have a very fast opening and not let the warrior build up the armor and sort of like fall back onto just card draw and having answers.
I mean, you always want to have a Tomb Pillager, right?
Yeah, exactly, because it's one of the cards that's just a huge threat in itself. But I believe if you go into Quest and Adventurer and then can actually keep it alive for a turn and then just smack them for a large amount of damage, reduce the armor, maybe into a second conceal, that's probably the best outcome for the rogue in general.
Most likely true. And it's not an easy turn for A8. He has few options. It might be a questing adventurer, and then he can actually prep in the eviscerate, kill the Acolyte of Fane. That sounds terrible, but it's one of the options.
Out of range of axe, right?
Yeah.
If he does it.
Well, it will be a 4/4, so it's not actually in the range of axe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's out of the range.
Oh, you said
yeah,
outside.
it's out.
Okay,
yeah, outside.
never mind. Never
yeah,
mind.
'cause you're not just feeding the quest into the axe with this play.
Did he just play the cold blood on the 1/1 to choose the
Oh,
Acolyte of Fane?
right.
That's a huge investment. I don't know if I like this. That is actually something like in the middle of what I was proposing.
Yeah, I think the important part is the saving of the prep. So he decided
Yeah.
the one-off damage of the Abyss and saving the prep was worth more than the potential repeat damage of a cold blood.
Actually, I'm not a fan of playing the Questing Adventure anyway. I just wanted to point out that's an option. But to be honest, I would probably just skip the turn, because
Yeah.
the dealing 4 damage with the Questing Adventure won't win you the game. And there are many options for Loyan to kill that minion. There are slams, there are bashes, there's a revenge. There might be even a ghoul. Blood to Icar, we actually saw that he had it in his
Yep,
deck,
he
right?
played against
So
the zoo. Yep.
there's so many options for Loyan to just kill it.
Ooh.
And you know that a 4/4 Questing Adventures, like, would you play a 4/4 minion in your deck? Not really. So why
No.
would you play that, right?
Not especially when there's a War Axe equipped.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
the problem is, I think A8 feels he needs to be at some, he needs to be the aggressor here. So skipping a turn would be kind of rough. It did get cleared up quite easily with a revenge, but now Loyan has actually got the initiative onto the board. There's a Tomb Pillager, and the next turn there is Gadgets and prep into conceal. So that is huge and potentially gives A8 an opening to really just pressure out Loyan here with just raw value from card draw.
well, let's see what will be happening. The 5/5.
Oh,
What's the name of the 5/5?
Faceless Destroyer.
Oh, thank you,
Got it.
production.
Yeah, that's not even
Faceless
production,
Destroyer,
that's
okay.
Loyan.
Oh, you're right. Thank you,
Loyan
Loyan.
too, yeah. Gonna confirm Loyan cannot hear us. Nod 3 times if you can hear us. he genuinely can, that was a joke. I actually really like the Sylvanas here. You know your opponent's got a coin,
So many
so from the Tomb Pillager. The turn 6 Gadgets and coin into conceal is not unheard of. Whereas the Sylvanas then can be pretty huge with the brawl, and you just reduce the card cycle down. Of course, getting just a card down early is a great play as well, but I think Sylvanas, if they sap you, then you're okay with that because it just slows the game down even more.
Yeah, I agree. But here with the backstab, I would definitely play the backstab this turn, because your auctioneer might not live the next turn. There's an option, a small option,
Yeah.
of that happening.
Wow, this is actually just 11 damage, Lothar.
Slam!
Yeah, the
To the
Nazov Warrior
face.
just smashing him in the face.
What an aggro deck, man. And people thought it's a control.
You know what's kind of nuts, right?
Yep.
If Kano Sylvanas comes down now, How does a rogue clear this many minions? They're this big.
It's kind of weird that Loyan actually went for the Justicar last turn because he didn't have a good 5-mana play, and that means he wouldn't be using this his hero power that turn because there's a Sylvanas, there's a there's a Kern in his hand, and I understand the appeal with the shield block, with the shield slam, but at the same time, if you have Sylvanas already on board, oh wow.
Well, 67% chance here. And he whiffed it. Loyan paid 5 mana to kill
nothing.
2 of his own minions.
Yeah.
That is not a good play, guys. But joking aside, the Brawl was very likely to kill the Gadgetzan somehow there, so that definitely didn't go against Loyan. What did you think of actually just playing a 6-drop? Because yeah, your opponent's got Gadgetzan, but they need like 3 saps. Oh, they need like
I would definitely
play.
I would definitely play the Sylvanas or the Kern because I feel that first of all, your opponent already played 1 questing adventure and played 1 cold blood. That is huge amount of burst. That just. Well,
I mean, Loyan got very unfortunate there, losing like a 66+ chance of actually the thing, but it was a risk I don't think he needed to take. He had a 5/5 on board. He had Justicar True Heart. He could have then just dropped Sylvanas and been like, how do you clear all of this while cycling so many cards?
That's a valid point, but I think something that we didn't talk about is the fact that many times players are just saying, oh, I lost because of the Brawl was just unlucky, right? And that's the case. But Loyan wouldn't be in that situation if he would just play Sylvanas on turn before.
Yep.
Because then the Brawl was a guarantee.
Yeah.
100% guarantee of clearing the
Well, you
auctioneer,
win the Brawl
or
all of the time.
you're getting the auctioneer on your own board, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's what happened, and he can't really blame, luck here.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough one. The Brawl should have paid off for him in most of the time, but didn't this time, and it's maybe given A8 the actual gap he needs to take this game, because up until that point, Loyan was looking very, very safe, already dealing with a questing very easily early on.
Yep.
And I said earlier, I think in this matchup, if A8 gets the questing down and it isn't killed off through like conceal, then he's looking to do really well and get a lot of extra damage in it. Here's the second question with the backstab and the trade to clear off.
And no one sees a gore hole to the face coming next turn. So
No. Look, you do not expect a rogue to gore hole you in the face for 7.
Actually, that's cute, right? That's bigger than a fireball, and no one sees that coming. So, ooh, a second Brawl. I guess that's an option.
So far, you can.
Well, you can go Blood to Icar first, get a 2/2 on board.
Well, he can Brawl as if the Van Cleef doesn't win. He can just revenge. You can Blood to Icar revenge the one that survives.
Yeah, right.
Which
but
obviously,
you're correct.
if Van Cleef wins, then that's just a problem. But he's gonna go for Blood to Icar first. Okay.
That was my initial thought, but I think it's a mistake actually that you need to keep the Blood to Icar, right?
Okay, let's see how the Brawl turns out.
Yeah, that's the kind of worst outcome.
it gave him a chance to win the Brawl anyway. But I don't know. I think I would have saved it. Just because there was a 2 out of 3 chance that you could just clear the board.
Lion,
And
that's not
revenge
how
not-
you use the chair.
Oh, Loyan, have you ever seen Loyan stream? He never sits like a normal person. He's like always, because he's so tall as well, he's always got like his legs up to his shoulders. It looks crazy.
King's Defender, the amount of weapons is crazy.
And it's just more raw damage from hand.
Yeah. And now that 2 Brawls were played, A8 is just like, yeah, I can overextend, I can do whatever I want. So there can be a revenge, but a revenge will kill only 2 minions, half of the board.
Grom's not going to be enough here.
Still an option.
There's 8 damage, plus the Gore Howl for 7.
Well, let's see what will happen.
Well, it's just game, right?
Yeah, well, there's the goal.
Yeah, I was going to say, like...
I just waited for the moment when he puts the goal.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to
face.
finish the math. I thought the 8 plus 7 was the obvious one. But yeah, like even a smile from Loyan going, okay, you go-held me in the face for 7. I'll deal with it. And now A8 evening up the series at 2-2. It's going to be Zoo, I believe, for Zoo versus Rogue. And this is like historical matchup. But, you know,
Yeah,
although the both
historically
decks have,
speaking, Blade Flurry was something that just put the matchup on the
both
head,
decks
right?
have changed in time, but it's always down to backstab SI, whether you're on the coin or not, to deal with the early aggression from the zoo. Some things never change, Lothar, and it's the Rogue always wanting backstab SI in this matchup.
Yeah, true, but even without backstab SI, you still had an option of deadly poison to have like a, you know, like a pseudo Fear Warx, and just deadly poison Blade Flurry was so obnoxious. I mean, the only thing keeping Zoo alive at those times was the fact that it had multiple death-rattling effects.
Yeah.
Like Creeper, like the Nurugan Egg, what else? Because the Blade Flurry sometimes was just still awkward, but it was such an important card in this matchup that it just was a game-winning card. And now, when there's no more AoE apart from double Fan of Knives or a Fan of Knives with Falnos, changes a lot in the dynamic of this matchup, especially when Loyan starts with a double Flame Imp opener and A8 is visibly tilted a little bit.
Upset, at least. This is not the opening you want, but to be fair, there is backstab, there is prep, so A8 can clear up this board this turn if he wants to.
So you think prepping the Deadly Poison is an actual option here?
Well, he could have done it, if that's what you mean by the true definition of option. I don't think it was the correct option, no.
Yeah.
I think you can take 3, potentially 6 if you want to trade this turn. Fan of Knives is nice with prep.
I mean, you need to think about what's your next turn, and next turn is Tomb Pillager, 100%, right?
I think you want to save the fan for a spell power Fan of Knives.
So if you get an Azure Drake, and that's possible because you have 10-4, and then 10-5 is something that you don't have.
And also,
any plan?
there's more than likely Thanos in the deck as well. So there's 2 Drakes and Thanos, and Prep Fan with spell damage is actually like backbreaking a lot of the time against Zoo, because the 1 damage, you know, we see it from like Ghoul. The 1 damage from Ravaging Ghoul is great against Zoo, but it's also the combination of that with the 3/3 body that makes it great. Same along with Fan of Knives. 1 damage can be great, but 2 damage actually just deals with a hell of a lot of minions that Zoo can play.
Correct. Well, the Councilman on 10-3, not a big threat, but it's a tough threat to deal with. No sap, never mind. But still 10-4 is Tomb Pillager. There's an option to use the prep for the sap to sap the Councilman, take the advantage of the board control. And that's actually huge. This is the first time Zoo is on the back foot, and with the double Defender Argus draw, it doesn't look good.
It really doesn't. When you've got the empty board as Zoo and you're facing down a Tomb Pillager, which pretty much will kill anything that is played, the Void Walker's going to help try and defend it, of course.
It's
Tomb
a
Pillager's
huge
a very scary minion.
Let's see what will we get for 8-8. It's a Edwin. Well,
It's not really what A8 was looking for here.
yep. It's not really a good option. But
I mean, the problem is, even the spell he has that will combine to make Van Cleef even a 4/4 is terrible to use here at this point.
Yeah.
If you cold blood on the Tomb Pillager, then play Cleef, then, well, it's just 7 damage going into a 1/3. You know, it doesn't really help in any way, shape, or form.
You can think of the fact that maybe sapping the Councilman on 10-4 is actually a mistake.
I mean, to be fair, any other draw from A8 in his deck, I feel, would be fine. You know, at this point, there are many other cards that would be okay. Obviously, there's like Gadgetzan, which is just a pass turn. But this is definitely a tough one. Do you ever consider Fan of Knives to then potentially draw into a Eviscerate, which then kills the Councilman, and then you don't care about the trade into the Voidwalker anymore? He's going to go for the Cold Blood. Okay, doing his best, just needs to get something done here. Going to rely on the Fan of Knives to draw through next turn and try and get into something more impactful, but the Argus coming down onto the Villager. This is like a full crazy village going on. There's the Councilman and the Villager on the board, and this is a lot of damage prep.
Well, you can consider prepping first. You can play a Tomb Pillager from the top of the deck or an Azure Drake.
If there was spell damage.
But yeah, if that would have
So good.
If that would have been a Thalnos,
Yeah.
then sweet. But it's not the case.
Fan of Knives going down now.
Oh, well, that's a good, good draw, I would say. You still lose your Tomb Pillager next turn, but you will gain a coin, so at least 2 draws in your deck are especially good.
I think A8 got like really fortunate there because if he drew like Gadgetzan, right? Well, if he drew Gadgetzan unplayable, which means after the fan with the possessed villager going, it buffed the councilman, which means he would have to face tank the councilman even like really hard with the dagger up. So A8 getting a getting exactly what he needed, to be honest, to help stabilize a little bit here.
Let's see what it looks like for Loyan. It doesn't look bad. It's not terrible. He got to use both of his defensive Argus to some extent. And the draw now for A8. This is super important. Is it an auctioneer?
It isn't. Okay.
No, it's not.
I mean, this is rough as well. He can't really use prep to get the extra damage from the Abyss.
I think this is just trade, hero power, deal 1 damage.
Coin Abyss.
No, I don't think you can actually.
I'm joking. I think he needs to hold on to the coin. He's gonna trade, take the damage, and go face with the 7. Don't blame him.
Yeah.
No point trading into the Argus. You and your opponent are on very similar health totals at this point. And you've got the bigger dude. So you let the Argus trade in him. Gang Boss, very nice pickup. It's going to mean that you can play that and the Librarian, not have to discard a card, but will draw them when it dies, as well as squeezing a life tap.
But you have seen now 2 Eviscerates being played. 1 Cold Blood. And basically your opponent is running out of steam. So you don't even have to worry about your life taps right now.
Like, this is Dagger Pass. If he plays Questing Prep Coin, which would be hilarious to see, but it's just not going to be enough. 1, the minion just dies, and also you have nothing for next turn, and not the best draw.
Not the best draw, but is there an option to finish the game right now? 5-9? No.
No, there isn't.
No, even a Doomguard right now is not an option.
Here's the question everyone has to ask themselves when playing this deck. When the hell do you tap? Do you want to tap now and try and get Librarian down? Do you just throw the Librarian then tap into, potentially Doomguard, which is like huge? Looks like he's going to go for that play. If he gets a Doomguard, this is massive. Even Direwolf, extra 2 damage and another minion on board. Looking great, and Loyan's putting himself in a position to win this series and move on to the top 8 here.
Seems like Rogue is not really
it's your
doing
trade.
work.
There's a chance.
Nope.
That's not going to be it. There is no way to remove these minions off the board, and Loyan does take the series versus A8 in a very close, very tense 3-2 score.
It wasn't a zoo sweep.
It wasn't a zoo sweep. Perfect.
Solo, what do you think?
Yeah, just happy to see a different result to a series than Zoo dominating, honestly. Pretty impressive stuff from Loyan overall. That Rogue did threaten to have an impact like we talked about at the start, but he was able to get over the line with Zoo, which is a matchup that I know there's some disagreements on between the pro scene, but generally starting to tilt the way of the Zoo these days in most people's opinions, especially that questing build, which is a little bit more flying by the seat of its pants, more aggressive, trying to beat up on the mid-rangey deck.
Yeah, I think as well, we would talk about the Rogue versus Zoo matchup. The Rogue always needs the exact tools to stop Zoo, and then Zoo can kind of cheat with this discard mechanic and like do turns that are over the top, right? And then Rogue isn't really equipped to deal with that much extra stuff, basically. And we saw a little bit of that there, where Loyan just stacked on top and just kind of ran away with it. Hello, Loyan.
Hi, friend. I'm going to make sure I sit up straight here so Loyan doesn't make me look really tiny. But yeah, how's it going? You got to be feeling good after that performance. Top 8 now at a DreamHack added to your resume. Good feeling, right?
I mean, pretty sad because I had to play against my friends. So
sure.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I want to follow up on that question. Like, you are officially a streamer for Complexity. So like, where do you view yourself in the competitive scene? Do you think you're a real threat in these tournaments? Like, how do you see yourself fitting into this whole like DreamHack Grand Prix circuit?
I mean, I pretty much started practicing like 4 months ago.
Okay.
After like the prelims, I kind of got like really good with Casey and Crane. So they're pretty much carrying me. So yeah, it's going pretty good so far.
I mean, they're good practice partners to have, right?
Yeah.
I think,
Definitely not the worst players to help you get better.
Credit to the man just hovering around here for building a successful tournament environment for breeding good players. But before my smugness overloads the scene, guys, do you have any more questions for Loyan?
Yeah, I actually have a question regarding the turn when you played with the Warrior against Rogue. When there was a concealed auctioneer, you opted for the
it was the Brawl turn, right?
before they brought in.
Okay.
You, instead of Sylvanas or Ducan, you went for the Justicar. What was the reasoning?
Because like he had 2 cards which he kept, if I remember well. So they had to be like preps, I believe.
I think it was gadgets and prep.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
and then-
I was just expecting like gadgets and preps up.
Okay.
And like the other way, I can just shield slam the guy. He doesn't have conceal.
Okay.
Or then if he goes conceal, I can just brawl.
Okay.
So that was like my reasoning behind
Oh,
the play.
okay, because there was 2 lines where because the rogue's board was empty and
Yeah.
it was going to turn 6 and the Tomb Pillager had just given him a coin,
Yeah.
it's like gadgets and coin conceal is like the general turn you
Yeah,
expect
like-
a lot of the time, of course.
Yeah.
And you had Sylvanas to play before the gadgets and even hits the board, which would feel great. Obviously, we have like the ultimate cast division and could see that was going to be the play, but of course, if you play Sylvanas and then exactly gadgets and prep sap comes out, then you're in just as much trouble, right?
Yeah, you pretty much.
And you don't have the tank up, which
Yeah.
is key. Yeah.
So you cannot shield slam or anything.
Yep.
So one more question just to wrap up.
Yeah.
I was talking with you and A8 a little bit beforehand.
Yeah.
You were talking about maybe like the Rogue was the big point for him that might do some work against your lineup. Like, did you have anything specific in mind in terms of queue order, like how you were going to get around that Rogue?
I mean, I pretty much queued up Druid because it's Druid.
Good plan.
Good plan, right?
Yeah.
Seems
So-
reasonable.
So then if I lose to his Rogue, I can just queue up Zoo. Then he queue ups like Zoo Mirror. Then I queue up Warrior. It's like the worst scenario, right? But like if any other like scenario like goes different, then I'm kind of like favored. Because like I believe in Druid Mirror, I'm just a little bit favored.
Okay.
I'm not sure about this one to be honest, but if I am, then that was like the play.
Because he's playing the Yasharaj version
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
not, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, interesting stuff. But anyway, won't keep you too long. I'm sure you want to get some rest, maybe even a few drinks in tonight. We'll see you back tomorrow for top 8 ready and raring to go, I'm sure. But guys, we have got one more game to go, I guess, to wrap up the top 16, moving forward to top 8. That game will be coming up very, very soon, so you guys do not want to go anywhere. The quickest of breaks that you will ever see, and we will be right back with the final game of our top 16 here at DreamHack Winter.
Initiating goodnight sequence. Dispersing appropriate dosage of compound 347. Initiating phase 1 of memory calibration. This won't hurt a bit. Just close your eyes.
And welcome back to DreamHack Winter with the Grand Prix. We have one more match left to play today. With me, well, again, Sotl, but we have a guest. And this is the first guest at our DreamHack. It's one and only Ecop. He's on everything. And welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Say something about your own performance here.
As you have seen probably when you tuned into DreamHack Day 1, I closed out day versus Crane, and that was pretty good series there. with
I think
that.
you just got outplayed, to be honest.
Anyway, Crane,
If someone didn't see it, what happened?
yeah, Crane ended. Crane ended up eliminating me because he like got Doom off of York, clearing 8 minions and drawing a full hand. So
Seems good.
Yeah. And then afterwards, Rag Wars in the Druid Mirror. But whatever, let's not talk about that. Crane afterwards, though, he didn't manage to get to the top 16, as you all know. He went 0-3 afterwards, after beating me.
Oh,
And-
feels bad.
And I went 3-0. So ultimately, like I had a better score than him. I went 6-3 to overall.
At least some small satisfaction, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm happy about the result. 6-3 is a good result.
Yeah,
better
definitely.
than most players. So.
That's true. How do you perceive the tournament from the last edition? Because you were playing at the last edition as well, right? During DreamHack Summer. So is it similar? Is it better? Is it worse? So what happened?
Not much really changed. I mean, it's still the same format. Still last hero standing, best of 5, 1 ban, and yeah, sure, the cards are a little bit different, but ultimately, yeah, the same players. A lot of good players. Like compared to DreamHacks 2 years ago, I felt